Can you hear me, ma? Can all of you hear me? Okay. So fine. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll be dealing with database management systems for your section. Okay, in short, we call it DBMS, Database Management System. So it would be divided into 5 units, as you know, no? All of you know. So it consists of a lab also for you. So you'll be having both theoretical as well as practical sessions in the next few months to go. So we'll be covering the basic aspects of database management systems along with the practical sessions. So we'll be working with small queries, small programs, so that you can work with the data. Okay, and the prerequisite for this subject, you have to have a basic understanding of data structures. So it's not mandatory, but we'll be using the concepts of certain data structures. Example, I can say the concept of trees. We'll be using briefing of files. Okay, prerequisite on data structures is required, but not compulsory. And according to the syllabus of you'll be working with MySQL. You have to download a software called MySQL in order to work with practicals. So you're just going to play with data. So how you're going to manage data, how you're going to work with data would be the major concept of your database management systems. Okay, and in order to start working with that, you have to install the latest version of your MySQL. Okay, so any version of MySQL, it will take hardly 5 minutes for you to install. And once we move into the practical sessions, you can work with your MySQL, and we'll be working with tessellator activities also. So I'll be giving you tessellator activities. And I hope you know how you work with tessellator activities. There would be concept of MCQs, multiple choice questions, along with practicals, where you're going to work with the practical aspects. Okay, so before we actually move into the concepts of database management systems, I think the PPT is visible for all of you, ma. I hope the PPT is visible for all of you. Right? Any problem with that? Okay. Can you see the PPT, ma, all of you? Just respond. Okay, thank you. Now, before we actually start off with introducing what a database management system, so I'll just go through the textbooks, what you need to refer for your semester with respect to the database management systems. Okay, one of the best books for your database management systems is Raghu Ramakrishnan. So you have a book called Raghu Ramakrishnan, and you can go with something called as Korth, K-O-R-T-H. So any of these two books, but try to prefer Raghu Ramakrishnan. Okay, and as I told you, we are going to work with both the things, practical and theory. So the books would be helpful for you in both the cases. Okay. Now, moving on to the introductory part of your database management systems. First, we need to understand what actually a database is. What actually a database is. So, coming to the formal definition of a database, I can roughly say that it is a collection of logically related data. A database is a collection of logically related data. And that particular data is usually stored in order to meet the requirements of the user. So why we are storing the data is for the users to work on it. So a database is a collection of logically related data. And this particular database can be shared, it can be managed, it can be updated, it can be deleted, it can be accessed. So these particular operations can be done using the concept of your MySQL in the practical part. Okay. So one of the best examples for your database is the names, telephone numbers, and addresses of all the people you know. So each person will have that particular person. So I'm talking about a person database over here. I'm talking about a person database over here. And why they are logically related is because each of these particular fields or each of these particular attributes are related to that particular person. That is the reason we are telling you it's a logically related data. Okay, I can take for an example a customer. So in a customer, I can work with the name of the customer, the order ID of that particular customer, the amount paid, maybe the address of the customer, maybe the age of the customer. So all this data would be collectively called as your database. Is it fine, man? What a database is? Or you can make it simple. It is a collection of data. It is a collection of data. Database is a collection of data. That would be the simplest form. But whenever you're talking in reality, it's a collection of logically related data. You have to specify that it is a collection of logically related data. Now, talking about what we are going to do in this particular semester, that is the concept of DBMS, Database Management System. Okay. And it is a software. A database management system is a software, which is nothing but it is a set of programs. I can say that a DBMS is a set of programs. DBMS is a set of programs that controls the creation, storage, management, and retrieval of data in the database. So what all I can do using the concept of my database management system is, I will have a mechanism of how to store data, how to manage that particular data, how to retrieve that particular data, and maybe how to update, delete that particular data, which is existing in the database. So all this is done in a software which is said to be a collection of programs. And the best example of your database management system is MySQL. That is the software what we are going to work with in this particular semester. So we are going to work with MySQL. Okay. And next, some of the popular DBMS softwares are, so most of you might have already seen your Microsoft Access in your Microsoft Office. There's something called as Oracle. You've got IBM DB2, FoxPro, SQLite, Microsoft SQL Server. So these are few of the popular database management system software where you are going to work with the management of data. Is it clear, ma'am? Any problem with what a database is and what database management system is? Is it clear? Any problem with two basic concepts of your DBMS. So what is a database? It's purely collection of logically related data. It's a collection of logically related. It is a set of programs that is used to manage the data. So DBMS is a set of programs that is used to manage the data. Okay. Problem. You have any questions? Yes. Okay. So I'll move on to the next topic. Applications of DBMS. So where this particular database management system is being used and where wide applications of database management systems are existing. So places where applications of DBMS are going on is, first is the banking sector. So all these things, whatever I'm going to tell you in the next 10 minutes are quite familiar to you. Okay, so first is banking. I'll be working with DBMS in banking, and in banking sector, I would use DBMS in order to store the customer information. I would like to store the customer information. Maybe before actually I take an account, the bank people would like to get your details, and that particular details would be stored in a database. Then the account activities. So account activities in the sense whether you're withdrawing, whether you are depositing amount, whether you're transferring, all that stuff would be taken care of by DBMS. Next would be payments, loans, etc. So DBMS plays a vital role in the banking sector. The second is airlines. Airlines for reservations and cancellation of tickets, and in order to show the schedule information of flights. So if at all the airlines people want to display a particular schedule of the flights they are running, they also require a database. Okay, the third one is universities. The third one is universities. Example, you can take a college. So I'm not talking about a university over here, I'm talking about a college over here. So the college would want to store the information about students. So every year, n number of students join the college. So all that information needs to be stored. And for that particular purpose, we can use the concept of DBMS. So in universities, for storing the student information, for the course registrations. So which be taken into consideration, and faculty information, if at all you want to store the faculty information, faculty paychecks, all that stuff, the results of a student, etc., would be done using the DBMS. Next, I'll go with something which is called as telecommunication. It helps to keep call records. These call records would be used for monthly billing. Okay, how many calls a particular person has done? What is the number of minutes? All that stuff would be recorded purely. And then based on this, the monthly bills would be generated. And once the monthly bills are generated, it would be given to the customers. And then what is the balance? What is the number of calls? What is the duration? All this stuff can be clearly told using the data that is stored in the database. Okay, so these are four. And next, going with sales. The next application of DBMS is sales. So whenever you want to work with the concept of sales information, you have to store the information with respect to the customer. So in order to store the information customer, again, you have to create a database. Then you want to store the product information. You want to store the sales information. What is the amount of sales that has been done? All that stuff needs to be stored. And if at all you want to say that once you have sold something and that particular commodity does not exist in your shop, then that would also be put into a database so that the manager can see and get the same commodity whichever is required by the shop in order to sell the units. So for that particular purpose also, we are going to use this. Then you have the next concept, manufacturing. So in manufacturing also, what are the raw items that are required in order to create some new items? All that stuff would be present. And DBMS is used to help in tracking of production of items. So what is the number of items that is being produced and what is the raw material that is being taken in order to produce these particular items? All that stuff can be taken care of in the manufacturing unit. And then you have the concept of HR management, the more important thing wherein you will get placed in your future years. So HR management, what are the major helps that DBMS does is, it is used for generating payroll systems, and it is used for deduction of salaries. If at all a particular person has put some n number of leaves, so you have to reduce the salary, and that is taken care using the concept of your DBMS. Then the information about employees, all the information of the employees needs to be taken with respect to the HR management. So these are few of the applications wherein you are using the concept of your database management systems. Is it clear? Any problem with this particular concept? Any problems with this one? So applications of database management system means where in the industry the concept of database management system is being used. The major concepts where you are going to use institutes, shopping malls, airlines, railways, all that stuff. You have also your this TSRTC, APSRTC, all these things use the concept of your database management system in order to schedule, reserve, cancel, all that stuff needs the concept of your database management systems. Is it clear? Or am I going a bit fast, ma? Are you able to understand? Please respond. Am I audible to all of you? Okay. So next topic I'll be covering is history of database systems. This is the first concept of your syllabus, actually. Historical perspective, it's called, and here I'm putting it as history of database systems now. How database management we are going with the concept of early manual system. So there was something called as early manual system before year 1950s. Before the year 1950s, there was a system which was called as manual system, wherein the data that was to be stored was put into a paper or maybe a book. Okay. The important data that needs to be recorded, that was put into a paper, and in order to put that particular data in paper, lot of manpower was involved. So lot of manpower was involved because you had to write lots of records. A lot of time. And one of the major problem while working with manual systems is, if at all you want to search for a particular record, want to search for a particular record, what will happen is you don't know exactly where that particular record was placed. You exactly don't know where that particular record was placed. So what you have to do, you have to search the entire content of whatever was stored. You have to search for the entire content of whatever was stored. So what you do is you try to start searching for the information that is actually required by you in the stored data. So the major problem would be when you want to search for some information, you need to waste a lot of time. You need to waste a lot of time. Therefore, the concept of manual system was termed inefficient. Because I'm trying to waste a lot of time, therefore it was termed as inefficient. Okay, so this is a small example. So maybe I'm only working with the concept of searching for some information. So if at all you delete some information, if at all you wanted to modify some information, all that would take a lot of time. Hence, it was termed as inefficient. Next, going from 1950s to early 1960s. So there was a which began, which used the concept of magnetic tapes for storage of information. So we use the concept of magnetic tapes for storage of information. And the problem with the magnetic tape was, it was a bit costly than the early manual system. The magnetic tapes concept was a bit costly than the earlier manual system, and the magnetic tapes provided only sequence. The magnetic tapes provided only sequential access. So if at all you had to move to a particular position, you had to either forward or you have to either rewind. Since it produced only a sequential access. That was one of the major disadvantages of using your magnetic tapes. Then from the concept of, from the years 1960s to 1970s, the concept of hard disk came into existence, and then we moved on to the concept of file system. I think already you have learned this in your PPS. So data was stored into a file, and all of you know what file is. So file is a place on the disk where a group of related information is stored. So file is a place on the disk where a group of related information was stored. So late 1960s and early 1970s, a new concept came into picture, which is the file processing system. Okay. So the file system was adequate only for small applications. The file system was adequate only for small applications. And there were a lot of drawbacks of using file systems. There were a lot of drawbacks of using file systems. So, see, we'll cover the drawbacks of file systems in the next 2 to 3 minutes. Here I've given a brief about what the problem file systems are. So, separation and isolation of data. What is separation and isolation of data? I'll let you know. Each program maintains its own set of data. Okay, so users of program may be unaware of potentially useful data held by other programs. And next, the results of the above problem led to the concept of database and data. Process of how DBMS came into existence. How DBMS came into existence. So, with manual system, magnetic tapes led to the concept of disk access followed by files, and problems with respect to the file system led to the concept of the database management systems. Okay, and in late 1970s, a computer scientist called Ted Codd, introduced IBM's information management systems. He introduced the concept of information management system, and in 1980s, relational model became accepted as the main database paradigm. So that is what we are going to work with, relational databases. So don't worry about this as of now. Relational databases, what is a relation? All that stuff we'll be learning in the classes to come. So this is how database came into existence. That is a major concept of your history of database systems. Is it clear, ma? Any problem with respect to history? Any problems with history? Okay. Now, I told you, before the existence of database systems, the data was majorly stored into a file system. The data was majorly stored into a file system, and all the processing was done using the concept of your file system. And I told you there were some major disadvantages of using your file systems. So what are the disadvantages of using a file system? Or that would lead to the advantages of your data management systems or the purpose of your database system. So whatever we are going to discuss in the next 5 minutes would be the drawbacks of a file system. Next, advantages of your database management systems, and you can say purpose of database systems. So these are the 3 things which would be covered. Now see, in the early days, database applications were built on top of the file systems. That is what clearly I've mentioned. So due to the problems that arose in the file systems, database came into existence. And why it came into existence is because of the following drawbacks of your file systems. Because of the following drawbacks of the file systems. So the first and foremost disadvantage of using a file system is data redundancy and inconsistency. Okay, data redundancy and inconsistency. So try to understand, redundancy means repeat information. So if at all there is in a particular system, then you term that particular thing as redundant data, or it's called as redundancy. And this particular redundancy of data leads to the concept of inconsistency of data. Okay, so I've clearly put over there, multiple file formats leads to duplication of information in different files. Multiple file formats leads to duplication of information in different files. Okay, so I'll just tell you a small example how it leads to the concept of inconsistency among data. So see, in a particular file called F1, I'm trying to store information of a particular student. So I'll assume that a student with roll number 501 has entered into my college, and I'm trying to store information about a particular student with roll number 501. His name, his age, address, all that particular. What happens is, I forgot whether I've entered or not. So in a confusion, what I try to do is I try to write the same information again. So now what's happening over here is 2 informations about the same particular student has been written into a file. Okay, that leads to the concept of redundancy. Since I'm trying to store the data of the same student n number of times, that leads to the concept of redundancy. Now, why it leads to inconsistency is, try to understand this. A particular student with roll number 5 his address. His address. Now what I have to do is, since this particular student has changed his address, I have to change the address of that particular student in the file. Now, how many times I have to do that? I have to do that twice. And if at all I do not do that twice, it leads to inconsistent data. Because if at all I pick 501 with an updated address and 501 with the original address, it leads to inconsistent data. It leads to inconsistent data. So that is the concept of redundancy, inconsistency, which can be eliminated in your database management systems. Okay, so redundant, repeated information, and inconsistency is maybe the data that has been entered into your database is inconsistent or your file system. Okay, now the second one, difficulty in accessing data. Whenever I want to access data with respect to a file system, what I have to do is I have to write a new program to carry out each new task. So maybe I'll say that I have to pick the data of students whose percentage is greater than 60. Whose percentage is greater than 60, I write a program with mentioning that I have to get the data of the students whose percentage is greater than 60. And after some time, I require the data of the students whose percentage is greater than 80. So in order to pick particular data, what I have to do is I have to write new program for carrying each task. And that would be made simple in your database management system. So there, you're not going to have this much difficulty in accessing data, wherein you're going to write a new program for each set of tasks. Okay. And next is I'll be working with something called as data isolation. So what is isolation? All of you know. In multiple files, and each file may be of different format. So instead of storing the data into a single file, data might be isolated. So what happens when you have to fetch data in this particular situation? That is a problem with respect to your file system, and how that would be covered using the database management system, we'll be working on that. Okay, the next one is integrity problems. So integrity is nothing but it's kind of, if at all, see, I've clearly mentioned over there, integrity constraints like account balance is greater than 0. So what happens is when I go to a bank, he says that you have to have a minimum amount of 500 in order to open your account. Okay, so in order to do that, what I have to do is I have to write a program specifying that the minimum account balance should be this much. Okay, and this particular constraint, this particular integrity constraint with respect to the data would be part of your program, would be part of your program code. So if at all it's not part of your program code, it won't be evaluated. So what I have to do is I have to write this particular program with a constraint that whenever you open an account, the balance should be greater than 500. And again, if at all you want to add some new constraints or remove the existing constraints, what you have to do? Again, you have to change the code. So again, that becomes a bit difficult because for everything you have to write a new program with respect to a file. These are the problems with respect to your file systems. Okay, next you have something called as atomicity of updates as a drawback. Atomicity of updates. Atomicity means, try to understand, it is simple. Do all or do nothing. So atomicity is do all or do nothing. Why this should be done? Failures may leave database in an inconsistent state. Failures may leave database in an inconsistent state. So try to understand, I've got two accounts, account A, account B, and I want to transfer 1,000 rupees from account A to account B. What is atomicity? I'm just trying to explain you. I want to transfer 1,000 rupees from account A to account B. Okay, and just trying to simplify this. See, I've got account A followed by account B, fine. Now, whenever I try to read information in A, so A has 3,000 rupees and B has stored in your file. Account A has 3,000 rupees in its account. Account B has 4,000 rupees. Now, what was my job was I have to transfer 1,000 from A to B. So what I'm trying to do is A is equal to A minus 1,000. And after that, what I'm trying to do is write A. Now, what would be the value of A is already I have taken A is equal to A minus 1,000 and 3,000 minus 1,000 would be 2,000. So the value of A is read as 2,000. Now, after this, what I'm trying to do is here, I'm trying to say B is equal to B plus 1,000. Okay. Now, once I do this transaction, so these steps are being done. Now, what would be the value of A in the file would be 2,000 and the value of B in the file would be 4,000 because I did not perform a write operation with respect to B. Try to understand this now. There is no write B over here. Okay. Now, once 1,000 has been added into B, there was a power failure. Okay, there was a power failure. Now try to understand. The value of A is 2,000. The value of B is 4,000. So before the transaction started, 3,000 plus 4,000 was 7,000. And after the transaction started, the value was 2,000 plus 4,000. So there is an inconsistency between A plus B before and after the transaction. So this is where the concept of atomicity comes into picture. So this would be the new the database management system because this particular concept is wrong. So whenever you try to work with atomicity, it says do all the steps that are present or do not do any. So whenever some amount has been deducted, it has to be added into the other account. So what database says is, if at all at this particular point there is a failure, then this complete transaction has to be rolled back. This complete transaction has to be rolled back. But whenever I'm working with a file system, this would be updated. Okay. I hope you understand the concept of atomicity, Emma. Okay. And the next, concurrent access by multiple users. Concurrent access by multiple users. Okay, why we need concurrent access is in order to make efficient use of the resources and in order to save CPU time. Okay, but sometimes concurrent access might lead to a problem. Again, the same example, two people reading a balance, say 100, and updating it, drawing money. Okay, so now what is happening in concurrent executions is, I'll again go with the same thing. I'm trying to remove all this stuff. an account A and C are trying to access account A at the same time. Okay, so try to understand why this is very simple. I have a resource A which is being concurrently accessed by two other accounts B and C. Now, what is the value of A that has been read by both B and C is B reads 5 and C reads 5. Now, B has deducted 3,000 and C wants to deduct 4,000. Any problem with this one? The amount that is present in A is 5,000. One decides to deduct 3,000 from the account and one decides to deduct 4,000 from the account. Okay, so sometimes if at all I grant both the requests happen, 3,000 plus 4,000 would lead to 7,000, but actual amount is 5,000. So this lead to the concept of negative balance in the account A. Yes or no? It would lead to the concept of negative account in the account. So these it might be a file system, it might be DBMS, all that stuff. So this is one of the major problems of your file systems, and this can be overcome in the concept of concurrency control in your DBMS that we will be working in the 4th unit. Okay, concurrency control of transactions will be working in the 4th unit. So all these above problems led to the existence of database management system. And I can say that database systems offers solutions to all the above problems. So I can say that it will not eliminate 100% redundancy, but most of the redundancy would be eliminated. Most of the redundancy would be eliminated if at all I use the concept of database management. And once consistent data in the database, there would be less chance of inconsistent data in the database. Okay, so these are the major drawbacks of using your file systems, and I can say that these are the disadvantages of your database management systems. So any problem with the topics covered until now, ma? You have any questions? Any questions? Yes. Now, based on the disadvantages that were discussed in the past few minutes, we are going with some of the advantages of your database systems. So I told you clearly that there would be controlled redundancy. There would be the concept of controlled redundancy. May not be 100%, but mostly I can cover the concept of redundant data in your database systems. Next, if at all I do not have the concept of inconsistent data, I can say that there is a concept of data consistency. So my data in the database can be a consistent data. So it might be real data, or I can say that the data might not be confusing. Okay. The concept of database systems, I can share the data. In the beginning of the class only, I told you sharing of data. I have improved security. Whenever I use the concept of database management systems, I can say that I have got improved security. Then data access is efficient. Data access is efficient. And lastly, concurrency control. I told you we'll be dealing with concurrency control in the 4th unit. So what are the different techniques that I use, all that stuff we can work with in the 4th unit. Okay, so these are some of the advantages of using your database management systems. Okay, so I hope we have covered definition of a database, then working with what actually a database management system is, some of the popular softwares that are used, then the applications of database management systems where we are using database management systems. You can have n number of applications. I've taken few. Okay, whatever things where you require storage of information, storage of data, you can work with the concept of DBMS. Then the history of database systems. This is an important question. So how actually database management system came into existence, all that stuff. Then you have purpose of database system, nothing but what are the disadvantages or drawbacks of using your file system that leads to the advantages of your database system. Then we are working with your advantages of database management systems, database systems. And next topic, if at all you're okay with all the concepts, you just tell, we will go with briefing on what are the different kinds of languages that we use in order to work practically. You have any questions, please respond. You want to go through the PPTs once, you can go through for 2 to 3 minutes. I'm putting from applications. Can I continue with the next topic, Ma? Now, we'll work with database languages. I'll briefly explain you. These particular languages are used to read, update, create, and store data in a database. So these are special languages that are used to actually read information, write information, update information into and from a particular database. Okay, and the different types of languages, database languages are, you have got different kinds of languages. The first one is data definition language, which we say it as DDL. Data definition language, we say it as DDL. Okay, DDL. And DDL is used for specifying the database schema. Okay, DDL is used for specifying the database schema. DDL is used for specifying the database schema. Okay, and the keywords that come under this particular category are create, alter, drop, truncate, and rename. So these are the keywords that come under particular category of languages, which is nothing but your DDL, data definition language. The first one is create. Create keyword is used to create a database instance. So whenever you want to create a database instance, you're going to use a keyword create. And once you have created a database and you feel that there, then you're going to use the concept of alter command or alter keyword. Okay, then if at all you no longer feel that the particular database that was created is of no use for me, then you can use the drop command. You can use the drop command, DROP. Now, in order to remove data from the database instance, you're going with something called as truncate. And in order to rename the database created, you're going to work with something called as rename. Okay. So create, alter, drop, truncate, rename. So these are the 5 keywords that are under your data definition language. And the next one is DML, data manipulation language. So this particular language is used for accessing or manipulating data in the database. So whenever you want to retrieve some information, delete some information, update some information, or insert some information into a database, you can use DML. You can use the concept of DML, data manipulation language. And the keywords that are present here is select, insert, update, and delete. So all these keywords follows a specific syntax. I'll just briefing about the syntaxes in the next few minutes. You have to follow that particular syntax. So why we are using the concept of select over here is to read information from a table or a database. So whenever you want to read information from a table, then you're going to use select. Whenever you want to store information into a table or insert records into a table, you're going to use the concept of insert. Then you want to update some existing data. I told you in the previous session that if at all I want to change the address of a particular student with roll number 501, I have to use the update keyword with proper syntax in order to update the data. And then if at all you want to delete a particular record or n number of records, you're going to work with delete keyword. So select, insert, update, delete. Select for retrieval, insert for insertion of data, update for updating the data, and delete for removing records from the table. Then the third one is data control language. DCL stands for data control language, and you're going to work with two keywords over here. One is grant, one is revoke. So this would be the privileges of the database administrator. Not every user is going to work with data control language, DCL. So grant and revoke are mostly used by administrators. So grant is to grant access to a particular user. So whenever I want to grant a particular permission to a user, then I can work with grant. Grant select to a particular user. So if at all I want database, then I can grant him that particular privilege only. And whenever I want to remove that privilege that was given to a particular user, I can use the concept of revoke. So grant is granting authority, revoke is removing that granted authority to a particular user. Okay, and lastly, we have TCL, transaction control language. So I told you there's something called as concurrency control, which I'll be dealing with in the 4th unit. And this particular concept would also be covered in the 4th unit for you people. Okay. So this particular language, TCL, leads with told you transferring a particular amount from account A to account B. That particular concept is called as a transaction. And whenever you want to work with those kinds of things, you can use the concept of TCL. And the keywords that are present in your TCL is commit, the second one is rollback, and the third one is a save point. Commit is used for committing the transaction. Whenever you feel that a particular transaction is complete, then I can use the concept of commit. And whenever an error occurs due to a failure or due to some logical error, and you want that particular transaction to be no longer existing, then you can use the concept of a rollback. And lastly, save point is if at all you're working with a certain transaction which requires to be stopped and started. So you are going to use the concept of a save point. So these are three things. So database languages, briefly, I've covered 4 different kinds of languages. One is DDL. This is for specifying the database schema. DML, data manipulation language, in order to access or manipulate data. Data control is for granting or removing a user access on the database. And last, TCL commands deals with the transactions within a database. So these are the 4 different kinds of database languages which you are going to work with in your practicals. So just go through the PPT once more. Do you have any problems with the 4 lines? I've just covered only the keywords for you. So based on whatever we have covered today, you will be having a quiz. The concepts, whatever I've covered, you'll be having a quiz. So if at all you haven't understood any of the concepts, please come up with your questions, ma. Can I close the PPT? I hope you can see next PPT, wherein I'm trying to work with syntaxes for you. Just try to note down the syntaxes, which would be very useful for you. Are you able to hear me? Yes? Okay. Now, whatever the languages have told you, DML, DDL, DCL, and TCL, the keywords, how we are going to work with the key MySQL. I'm just going to show you. And once I'm just trying to tell that, please try to note down the syntaxes. Okay? Right. So, for specifying the database schema, already I've told you. And the first keyword in this particular DDL is your create keyword. So you're going to create an instance of a database using the concept of a create keyword. So whatever you want to create in your DBMS would be done concept of a create keyword. Whether it's a function, whether it's a trigger, a database, a table, you're going to work with a create keyword. Okay, so the syntax for creating a database is create database, database name. Okay, create database, database name. So why you have to create database is? A database is a kind of repository wherein the tables created by a particular user would be stored into that particular database. Okay, so whenever you want to work with the tables in your MySQL, you have to create a database. And that database can be created in the concept of a create keyword. Database name. Over here. Okay, example is create database, test database. So you can give a name according to your wish. So there is no condition that you should give a particular name. One second, ma. Okay, ma, is it clear of how you are going to create a database? Now, you are going to use the same keyword create in order to create a table. So see, create table name. So followed by the name of the table. And into that, you are specifying the list of attributes along with the data types. So what are the types of data types? I'll let you know in the future classes. This is the way you're going to work with a creation of a table. Create table name, followed by the list of columns. Whatever the list you want to work with, those columns. When I talk about a student, column 1 would be student name, column 2 would be student age, column 3 would be student address. And whenever I say student name is a set of characters, so I'll take that as character of a particular length. Column 2 is age, that would be an integer. Column 3 is address, again that would be a character. So example we have taken, see, create table persons with person ID as one of its attributes, which is nothing but an integer. Create table persons, person ID integer, last name, first name, address, city, all these are characters. What is a variable character? What is a varchar? All that stuff, you don't worry as of now. Okay. So the integer, varchar, everything is a data type. Clearly, I have mentioned in the syntax over here. So create table name, column 1 data type. So column 1 name is person ID over here, data type is integer over here. Okay. Now, altering, again you have, once you have created a table structure, you want to modify. Then you use the alter keyword. And the syntax is alter table. Alter is the keyword. Table is what you want to modify. Name of the table, there it was persons. Add column name, data type. So here the email was not existing. So here person ID, last name, first name, address, city was existing. Here I want to add email. So whenever I want to add email to an existing table, I have to alter that particular table. Alter table name, add column name. That is what I'm trying to do. See, alter table, name of the table was persons. What I'm trying to add is email. Add email. This is the length of the data type. So I can store up till these many characters. That is what I want to say. Okay. Alter table persons, add email, Or if at all I want to say, I want to add salary, I can say alter table persons, add salary, integer 5 or integer 10, integer 20. So alter table persons, add salary, integer 10. This way I'm going to work with the alter command. Now next is drop. So in order to drop a database instance, you're going to use called drop. Okay, and the syntax for dropping is drop. What you're going to drop is a table with particular. So drop created a table by name customers. So it will give you an error. Now instead of customers, if at all I put something called as persons, drop table person, what will happen? I'll be able to remove that particular table from the database, the test database. Next is you're going to remove the data in a particular table. You use the concept of truncate. Again, the syntax is same for your drop. Truncate instead of drop, truncate over here. Instead of drop, you are going to use truncate. Truncate table customers, truncate table persons. This way you are going to work it. So what is the use of drop? What is the use of truncate? What is the use of create? All that stuff we'll do. Okay. Next one, renaming. So when you want to rename an existing table, so you are going to use this particular syntax, rename database or rename table, old name to new name. So this would be the existing or original name of the table, and this would be the new name of the table. Okay. Is it clear? What's the problem? Shravya, any problem? PPD with slide 10 is only sure. Okay, 1 second, ma. Is it okay now? Okay. So just go through the slides for 2 minutes. I'll again start from the first. Go through the slides for 2 minutes. You have any questions, you can ask me, ma. Create for creating database instance and creating a table along with examples I've given you. I'm creating a database called TestDB, creating a table called persons with 5 attributes or 5 columns in that. Now then I'm working with alter command. So whenever you want to modify the columns, add columns, remove columns, then you're going to work with alter. So anything with respect to altering of a table, you can use the alter keyword. And the syntax is alter table, table name, add column name. I'm just working with addition of a new column over here. Example is table persons, add email. Now, whenever you want to drop database instances, you're going to work with drop. And the syntax is drop table, table name. Example, drop table persons or drop table customers. Anything is fine. Next is truncate. It removes the data from the table, and the syntax is truncate table name. And lastly, you have rename whenever you want to change the name of any instance, table, all that stuff. You are going to work with something called as rename. So this is all the 5 different keywords of your DDL. Try to make a note of this. We'll be sending you the material, but while you are trying to listen, just try to note down some important points. Is it clear, ma? Any questions? Yes, any questions you have, all of you? Now I'm just starting the quiz, ma. All of you try to attempt that quiz. And DML, the keywords and the syntax with respect to each and every keyword, I'll be telling you in the next class. I've started the quiz. It would be on today's class itself. Just try to answer the quiz, ma. Are you able to see the 11th slide? 561.